Hello lovelies, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lizzie and I post a lot of beauty related content here on YouTube. They're the kind of videos you love to watch, and please hit that subscribe button down below. Today, as you can see from the thumbnail, we are ranking all of my BH palettes. This is going to be part 1 of 2 because there is 4 kind of categories I put my BH palettes into. So this category is going to be the sweet shop palettes, and then it's gonna be more bigger palettes. So I feel like I want to start with the bigger palettes and then go to the sweet shop because I absolutely love the sweet shop, so we've got to save best till last, don't we? So these are the bigger palettes. We have about 6. I probably have more that I've bought in hauls and haven't put into this pile, but that's fine. In 6th place we have Take Me to Brazil palette. I put this as number 6 because I have no love and no hate for it. It is gorgeous packaging. I've never used it. I literally just bought it to have it as part of my collection, but the color story is gorgeous. It definitely reminds me of like a Brazil kind of carnival type palette. It is gorgeous, and it is a all shimmer palette, so again that is why it's in like the lowest spot, because it has to have some, come on, for all these kinds of shades we need some mattes in there, don't we? But the packaging is gorgeous. I've got a quilt down here, so I'm just chucking things down there. In 5th place we have Solar Flare. Now the reason this is in 5th place and not 6th is because it is more my color story. It's a very like warm tone, bronzy, greens, pinks, purples, but not like a bright palette. And this is why it's number 6 and not, no, number 5 and not 6, because again it's all shimmer. So I prefer this shimmer palette over the Brazil palette. And they're all baked shadows and they're huge and they are lovely kind of shades. They're the worst swatches I've done in my life. Wow. In 4th place we have the new Mrs. Claus the Littlest palette, because this came out Christmas last year, so I haven't actually used it just yet, and it is gorgeous, but it's not my favorite big palette from BH. And I got this on offer for like £11 and it is humongous. Let me just tell you that. It is gorgeous, I do love it, but I do prefer the holiday palette that came out the year before compared to this one. It's got the reds, it's got the greens. BH know how to do a Christmas palette, they really do. It is so stunning. It is only limited edition. BH do a lot of limited edition palettes, but sometimes they still have them in stock for a little while. There is a huge thing about BH going bankrupt or something at the moment, I don't know. But I do love this palette. Again, humongous. Look at it compared to my head. That is massive. Talking of Christmas palettes, this is the Christmas palette from 2020 and this is the Naughty palette. This is my favorite. This is such a good formula palette. BH never like disappoint me too much when it comes to their eyeshadows. Sometimes here and there they can, but not all the time. But this palette is stunning. It's absolutely gorgeous. You've got your warm tones, you've got your reds. It's missing some greens, like it only has like a couple of greens here. It doesn't have as many Christmassy colours as the palette I just showed you, but I do love this and do reach for this more than the other palettes. So, and the packaging is stunning. I feel like we need this packaging with the shadows from the last palette, and you've got your ultimate Christmas palette. In 2nd place, now I love this palette to pieces. Formula doesn't disappoint, the color story is so me, and they came out with 3 palettes in this collection, but they were £18, so I only bought one when I had a code, and this is the Remix palette. So this is the 2000s one. It's called Remix Dance. Look at it. I love the packaging. It is a total throwback. It is gorgeous. The shadows are massive. I don't know if you can tell how big they are. Like, you could fit 2 of my fingers in that, and that just looks so wrong, but yeah, you can fit 2 fingers in those shadows. They are massive. And then what makes it one of my favorites is the names of these shadows. They are named after songs from the early 2000s, and I could tell you all of these. You've got Glam, Poker Face, Teen Dream, Sexy Back, Milkshake, Twerk, Crazy in Love, Don't Cha, Single Lady, Umbrella, Hey Ya, Gold Digger, Holla Back, Bootylicious, Hot in Here. I wasn't meant to name all of them, but I did. Love this, absolutely love it. But my number one favorite palette of these has to be the Silvia Garnier palette. This palette was my first BH palette I picked up from BH in Boots when they launched. I have wanted this palette for the longest time. This is like your everyday kind of palette. The packaging is that like faux leather kind of packaging, but this is such a me palette. If you want an everyday nude kind of palette, this is the palette to go for. I love it. I don't think it was limited edition, and if it was, I'm sure you can still find it with people selling it online, but I'm so impressed with this palette. It is gorgeous. It's got so many mattes, shimmers. It's got 2 little highlights on the side here, but I don't feel like they suit me anymore. They're not the tones I would normally go for. It's like a pinkier, well, not pinkier, but like an icy shade, and then a really dark bronze shade. But then I guess you could mix them together if you wanted to get like a perfect shade in between. God knows where. I just swatched them somewhere down here. But yeah, that is my number one palette from this kind of big palette range. You can mix it and get a nice little light gold shade. Now let's do the Sweet Shop palettes. I have every single Sweet Shop palette that came out. They still were selling them even though they were limited edition. I actually ordered the ones that I needed from their website, and then I bought a couple from Nina, who is one of Mrs. Sausages, because she like buys in bulk, so it helps people like save on postage and stuff like that. She's really great. So yeah, if you're part of one of Mrs. Sausages, then Nina really is amazing. So we're going to go in order of my least favourite to my favourite again. And my least favourite is Cherry on Top. To be honest, the only reason some of these are my least favourite is because the colour story isn't my favourite colour story. But yeah, Cherry on Top is one of my least favourite colour stories. This is what it looks like. It's a very pinky palette, and what I love is these pans are massive. So you could get a blusher brush in there and use one of these as your blush brush. I love these colours. This one here, Sprinkles, is a definite bit of me, isn't it? Whoa. That is pigmented as fuck. Then in 5th place, we have the Bubblegum Palette. I feel like this is a bit more unique for me, so I didn't put it last. I put it 5th because it is something I wouldn't reach for all the time. And it's a proper blue palette. I do love, like, I prefer more green eyeshadows than blues. Blue is really nice on the lash line. I say, and I've got blue eyeshadow on. I actually tested the new e.l.f. Cookies and Dream palette, so that is what's on my eyes. But yeah, I don't feel like I'll reach for this much, so that's why I put it number 5. Again, it's lovely. They do have like the shimmer shades and the matte shades on the bottom. Do love it, but just not my favorite color story. In 4th place, we have the Pistachio Palette, and it has to be one higher than the blue because I freaking love green eyeshadow on me. I absolutely love it. It's just one of those that it's easier to pull off than blues for me, but it's gorgeous. Again, it's got your mattes and your shimmers. The pans are massive. The palettes are weighted. I love everything about these. The packaging is gorgeous on these. So yeah, it's one of my faves, but not my proper faves. In 3rd place, we have Candy Cotton. Cotton Candy Cotton, and that is because it's a pinkish purplish palette, and that's what I kind of like, is a mixture of pinks and purples. I feel like they work together lovely. I just love it. I love how like this shade here, and then I love this shade here and this shade here. I love them all. I absolutely love them. And then this shade, oh my god, is so stunning. And you know what's so good is this shade, this palette is brilliant for blusher. I could use 3 out of the 4 for blusher. I probably wouldn't reach for this bluey tone purple, but these two and that matte colour I would reach for blush. Coming in second place. Now the reason this is second is because I feel like this is a bit more day-to-day wear for me. This is the Orange Sorbet palette, and you might think, oh, orange day-to-day, but I feel like I can pull off an orange look day-to-day if I really wanted to. This is stunning. People have really been loving these kinds of colours as blushes, and I feel like all of these four would work as blushes. This shade here, Chocolate Drizzle, stunning. It is such a gorgeous, gorgeous palette, and this is why it had to come second. But my first place palette has to be first for me. A lot of people are going to think, oh, it's a bit boring, but the reason it is in first place is because I can use this palette every single day. It's called Sugar Cone, and I also can get some nice bronzers out of this, which I have used. I think I did a whole video on this palette as well. Absolutely love it. Best kind of neutral palette that I own. Like, if you're just gonna have a few shades, this is the kind of palette you need, and they're so soft. All of these palettes are ridiculously soft, and you're gonna love them. And I love the fact that I've got a bronzer in them, I've got blush in them, and possibly might be able to get a highlight out of this shade. Let's see. Yeah, and I've got a highlight in there as well. This is the end of part 1 of ranking my BH palettes. Part 2 is going to be like some little odd palettes that don't fit in any category, and then we've got their normal kind of squarish palettes that absolutely love. So yeah, stay tuned for part 2. Emily, I'm so sorry these videos took me a long time to film. I really hope you do enjoy it. This was requested by one of my patrons, Emily, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye.